Hello, I'm Dr. Brad Holmberg, founder of InvisalignDoctors.com, and I'm excited to announce that I'm starting a new video series called the Spot Check Review. I will demonstrate how I prepare for an Invisalign treatment consultation by revising the ClinCheck received after record submission. Have you ever taken Invisalign records and submitted for a ClinCheck, but you're not sure if the case can be treated successfully with Invisalign? You're not even sure what package to use or how long it will take to finish the case. Then when the first ClinCheck arrives, there's doubt if the outcome in ClinCheck is accurate. A patient consultation is pending, but your confidence is waning. What do you tell the patient? How can you overcome these obstacles? The answer is to use the 3D controls with Live Update to revise the plan into a predictable one. As a coach with InvisalignDoctors.com, I provide personalized case assistance. The most popular mentorship I provide is a spot check case review. I review the case and provide information that will help the doctor for the treatment consultation. If the treatment plan is not predictable, I'll even use the 3D controls and Live Update to improve it. If you have never used this service below, just click on the button in this email to request a complimentary spot check review. And if you look at my site here, if you just go into the personalized mentorship section, you'll be able to see all the options for mentorship. And let's look at this case. There's a treatment consultation pending, and the doctor requested a spot check case review from me. So part of my spot check service is that I record a video with some comments about the case. And the goal is that the doctor has a better understanding of all aspects of the case before the consultation. So the discussion with the patient can be a good discussion and everything. So here's a case right here. Now this is about a 60-some-year-old female patient. This is the first treatment plan that came back. You can see here that there's an end-to-end occlusion. There's crowding. The patient just wants everything fixed in the front. She's probably not too phased about the posterior to begin with. Arches look pretty good. Everything's off a little bit. And here's the treatment plan. But notice how they're just really expanding all the way across, moving posterior teeth quite a bit. And also, here I'll show you the posterior movements. You just don't need those in a 60-some-year-old patient. Plus, there's spacing. So what do you do on a case like this? What do you tell the patient? Well, we're going to leave spacing. Well, you might need lower IPR, but I'm not sure how much. How long will this case take? This treatment plan isn't acceptable for the consultations, so I recommend you use the 3D controls. So I did some 3D controls, and I just did it. It took me about 5 minutes, and this is what I came up with. Now, this is a class 3 case. Look at the class 3 molar relationship. Here's a lateral. There's a class 3 cuspid relationship, and it's a little closer over here to class 1, but it is slightly class 3 also on the left side. So those class 3 cases become a challenge as far as creating positive overjet and overbite. The previous treatment plan didn't have much. But notice here, those posterior movements have been really reduced a lot, so this plan becomes predictable for sure. And what I'll do commonly in class 3 cases is I want to create some excess relief. I want excess overjet. I actually want to take a case that's end on to begin with and actually create excess overjet. And usually the amount that you see in the final, actually clinically you see the final overjet is usually less. So I added lower IPR. I got rid of the spacing around the laterals and I added spacing. Now that spacing can be adjusted in refinement after the initial set of aligners is finished. You could possibly reduce that spacing. You could add even a little more IPR. Um, so you just have to kind of do your best to set up the case so that you're as close as possible after the initial set. The key about this setup here is that this is predictable. The patient's older, there's only 21 aligners, so I would probably slow movement velocity and I would probably bump that up to maybe 26 aligners. So that's only 6 months with a monthly change. And then I would say to the patient that you're going to need IPR, explain what that is, that we're going to leave a little residual space distal to the upper cuspid teeth. We don't want to leave it around the lateral incisors. And then I would show the in-face smile visualization. And this really works well. This is what you show the patient here, and this is what the final result will be. So always take a wide smile photo with the photo upload app, and then you can show the patient. This really sells the case. So how did I come about this? I used the 3D controls, and I could go ahead here and just go back to treatment plan number 1, and I can click modify and open up the 3D controls. And here it is. Here's the first plan. Here's the one with the spacing. Here's the plan with all those posterior movements. And the first thing I do is I just kind of clean up those posterior movements. So I'm going to right click and make all the posterior teeth unmovable. So that's like that. You can see that she's had some premolar teeth extracted probably a long time ago. So there's only one premolar. So I'm making the posterior teeth unmovable. Then I'll turn around and make them movable. I'm right clicking. It works really quickly. And the teeth will stay back at their original position. There's no movement. So you're canceling those complex movements. It's important to do that because if those movements, unnecessary movements, are included, then the predictability of the case diminishes quite a bit. I'll go up here and I'll look and say, well, what do we need? These are in a little bit. Notice it's mesial in, so this is I'll use rotation just to expand the first premolars out a little bit. I'm doing that so that they show a little bit better. Yeah, kind of like that. And maybe come out. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, we got to come out and buckle a little bit here. By the way, I'm going to make those second molars unmovable. I saw that when I moved the premolar tooth out, it was distalizing the second molar. So I'm going to leave the second molars now unmovable, and I almost always do that. So, so now there's a few high spots. Let's take a look at them because I'm just working quickly. I'm just going to auto resolve those. So the posterior tooth positions are set, at least for the purpose of the consultation. Now I'm going to lock the position of those posterior teeth because when I move the anterior teeth, I don't want them to be changing the position of those at all, really. Okay, so I made them unmovable. I moved them a little bit, and then I locked them, so everything is locked. Okay. Now the next thing we got to do is we got to get rid of the spacing around the lateral. Now the spacing was added in this particular plan because the doctor prefers no IPR for the first ClinCheck. So it's really showing the discrepancy between the arches, the tooth size discrepancy that's related to the class 3 relationship. Class 3 relationships almost always, not always, but often require a little bit of spacing distal to the upper cuspid teeth for the initial set of aligners. So I'm going to add that. And if the bite looks really good after the initial set, there's no premature contacts and there is excess overjet, then we can just get rid of that in refinement. But I would tell the patient that in order to be able to finish with a nice anterior bite and alignment, we may have to leave some space. Now we know we're going to need IPR here, so I'm just going to add it using the 3D controls. And from my experience, I know I'm going to probably need just 0.5 all the way across, even distal to the lower cuspid tooth. And we're going to go like this. And there it is. There's the IPR, and there we go. So I leave a little space, I clean up those posterior movements, and this is what I see. Let's take a look at those. So we got to just come up a little bit here, fix that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, I'm not really doing anything with attachments. I would just usually tell the patient that these attachments they're going to be necessary, but the attachments may change when you do the final setup. The purpose, you can set the case up completely for finish, but if you just want to just do a little bit of work, or if I'm doing it for you in a spot check, I'm not going to spend all the time or charge my higher fee for full setup service. I'm just going to do this, and this is included in my spot check. Then I run live update, And I already did this before, so let's look at treatment plan number 2. When I ran live update, there were 21 stages, and then I would tell you in my um, written spot review form that we'd probably go with 28 stages, or 26 would probably be just fine. And then you got great information to show the patient. So I hope by watching this video that you will be motivated to do a little bit of work on your treatment plans, the first ones that come back before the patient consultation, and then present the treatment. And then if the patient accepts treatment, then go ahead and finish setting up the plan. And for doctors that I do a spot check, sometimes they'll just email me after the fact and say, hey, the patient accepted treatment. And they'll want to upgrade my level of mentorship to a case setup service. And then I'll just finish setting it up and then they're ready to approve it. Hope this video helps you. And visit InvisalignDoctors.com and you can see there's a lot of information on that site about how to set up cases, how to use 3D controls. And consider becoming a member of the site if you're not already. That's it. I misspoke earlier in this video and I mentioned that this case would require 26 aligners with a monthly change cycle. And of course, it's going to be a weekly change cycle. So the initial set of aligners would require about 6 months to finish.